Imagine you are standing at the narrowest point of the Strait of Hormuz. The water is less than 4 kilometers wide in each direction. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through this channel every single day. And somewhere beneath those warm, murky waters, dozens of submarines are waiting. On the surface, hundreds of small boats sit in concealed inlets along the Iranian shore. Frigates at anchor, missile corvettes, mine layers, hovercrafts capable of skimming across water too shallow for any conventional warship to enter. This is the arsenal of the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy and the Revolutionary Guard Corps force that shadows it. It was built over 70 years, under constant embargo, through war, revolution, and sanctions that would have dismantled most military establishments entirely. What Iran assembled instead was something unique in modern naval history. Not a conventional fleet, a fortress made of water. This is every vessel that makes it possible. Chapter 1: The Shah's Steel, the Inherited Fleet and What Came with It. When Mohammad Reza Shah ruled Iran, he had ambitions that matched his oil revenue. By the mid-1970s, the Imperial Iranian Navy was one of the most modern in the entire Persian Gulf region. 3 destroyers, 9 frigates, patrol boats, landing ships, and something no other navy on Earth possessed in comparable numbers. A fleet of military hovercrafts so large it was officially the biggest in the world. The crown jewel was the battle-class destroyer Iris Artemis. Originally HMS Sluys, a late 1940s British warship, she was acquired in 1965 and was the most powerful surface combatant the Shah ever commanded, over 2,300 tons. Armed with 4 5-inch guns and anti-submarine equipment, a Cold War warship sailing Persian Gulf waters. Alongside her came 2 Allen M. Sumner-class destroyers, Babur and Palang, transferred from the United States Navy in 1971. Both were built for World War II service. By the time Iran received them, they were already showing their age. But in the context of the Persian Gulf, they were formidable. More enduring were the Bayandor-class corvettes. 4 ships, built at the Livingston Shipbuilding Yard in Orange, Texas, delivered to Iran beginning in 1964 under the American Mutual Assistance Program. Each displaced 914 tons. Originally designed as dedicated anti-submarine vessels, fitted with a Hedgehog mortar and depth charges, the kind of ship designed to hunt Soviet submarines in Cold War transit lanes. Iran had no such submarines to hunt, but the hulls were good, and Iran kept them in service far longer than anyone expected. Then, before the Shah could complete his shopping list, everything changed. He had ordered 4 Kidd-class guided missile destroyers from the United States in 1974. Each would have displaced nearly 10,000 tons fully loaded, among the most sophisticated destroyers available for export at the time. He had also placed a contract for 6 German Type 209 diesel-electric submarines from Havelswerk in March 1978. Ocean-going boats that would have given Iran a genuine underwater capability decades ahead of schedule. And 3 Tang-class submarines were already purchased from the U.S. Navy in the mid-1970s for $650,000 apiece, with Iranian crews who had trained for over 2 years at the U.S. Navy Submarine School in Groton, Connecticut. The Revolution of 1979 canceled all of it. The Kidd destroyers were absorbed into the U.S. Navy. The Type 209 order was canceled before a single keel was laid. The Tang-class crews had to return their submarines to American custody. Iran would spend the next 4 decades trying to replace what it never actually received. But it kept what it had, including 4 Alvin-class frigates built by Vosper Thornycroft in Britain between 1968 and 1972. The Shah had ordered them under the name Sam class, named after heroes of Persian mythology. After the revolution, the new government renamed them after Iranian mountain ranges. Iris Sam became Iris Alvand. The mythology was gone. The warships remained, each displaced 1,540 tons, fully loaded. At 94.5 meters long, powered by twin Rolls-Royce Olympus gas turbines generating 46,000 shaft horsepower, they could reach 39 knots, fast, capable, and British-built. The new Islamic Republic had no way to order replacements or spare parts, so it ran what it had and eventually built something new based on the same blueprint. Those hovercrafts the Shah was so proud of came from Britain as well. The BH-7 Wellington class was delivered beginning in 1970. Iran received 6 of them. Each displaced 56 tons, was powered by a single Rolls-Royce Marine Proteus gas turbine, and could reach 58 knots. Military hovercrafts, designed for mine hunting, troop transport, and patrol in waters too shallow for anything else. The SR-N6 Winchester class arrived in 1973. 8 units, 10 tons each, same 5.8 knot speed, capable of carrying 55 fully equipped troops or 6 tons of cargo. Together, 14 hovercrafts. The world's largest operational military hovercraft fleet, belonging to Iran. They were valued because they could go where no ship could follow, along the tidal waterways of the northern Persian Gulf, across mudflats, into river mouths. The geography of the Iranian coastline had shaped the procurement. Chapter 2. The Tanker War, Arsenal missile boats, mine layers, and the weapons that defined a decade. While the Shah was building his conventional navy, he was also modernizing his coastal strike capability. In 1974, he ordered a dozen La Combattante II type fast attack craft from the French builder CMN in Cherbourg. Iran called them the Kaman class. Delivered between 1,974 and 1,981, 12 hulls in total, each displaced 249 tons, powered by 4 MTU diesel engines, top speed 36 knots. Armed with 4 RGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles and a 76 mm OTO Malara compact gun forward. At the time, one of the sharpest-toothed small surface fleets in the region. The revolution cut the weapon supply. The Harpoon missiles could no longer be resupplied, so Iran turned to China and replaced them with C-802 derivatives, domestically branded as the Noor. The Chinese missile performed the same function and could eventually be manufactured in Iran. Problem solved. The Iran-Iraq War put the Kaman class to work immediately. During Operation Morvarid in November 1980, the boat Paykan was sunk by Iraqi forces. First Iranian warship lost in the war. In April 1988, another common, Iris Joshan, fired a Harpoon missile at USS Simpson during Operation Praying Mantis. Simpson sank her. It was the only time an Iranian surface combatant fired an anti-ship missile in direct combat against the United States Navy. For large-scale logistics and amphibious operations, the Shah had commissioned the Hengham-class landing ships from Yarrow Shipbuilders on the Clyde in Scotland. 4 vessels built in 2 batches. Iris Hengham and Iris Larocque entered service in 1974. Iris Tom and Iris Lavon followed in 1985. Each displaced 2,581 tons, fully loaded, 93 meters long. and could carry up to 9 main battle tanks, plus 600 tons of cargo. They remain in service today. But the most operationally significant amphibious vessel Iran operated during the tanker war was not a landing ship. It was a converted commercial cargo craft. 4 Japanese-built landing vehicles were purchased in 1978 from the Teraoka shipyard in Japan, originally named Arya Raksh, Arya Sahand, Arya Akian, and Arya Dokt. After the revolution, they were renamed Iran Ajr, Iran Bar, Iran Asr, and Iran Gadar. Each displaced 2,274 tons, fully loaded at 53 meters long. They had been bought unarmed. Iran fitted them with 12.7 millimeters machine guns, and then quietly converted them into mine layers. The decks were loaded with Sadaf 02 moored contact mines. On the 21st of September 1987, U.S. Army helicopters, launched from the frigate USS Jarrett, caught the Iran Ajr in the act of deploying 18 mines into a shipping channel near Bahrain. They attacked, damaged, and boarded her. Navy SEALs seized the vessel. The evidence of active mine-laying was undeniable. The Iran Ajr was subsequently scuttled by U.S. forces. It was the single most operationally consequential capture of an Iranian naval vessel in the entire war. The Alvin frigates were active throughout all of this. In April 1988, during Operation Praying Mantis, Iris Sahand was sunk by U.S. Navy aircraft and ships. Iris Sabalin was severely damaged by a laser-guided bomb and left dead in the water. In one afternoon, Iran lost a significant fraction of its conventional surface striking power. The lesson was filed away. It would shape everything that came next. Chapter 3: The Russian Deal Black Holes in the Gulf. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 opened a window. Russia needed hard currency. Iran needed submarines. In 1988, before the Soviet collapse was complete, Iran had already signed a contract. By the early 1990s, 3 Project 877 EKM Kilo-class diesel-electric submarines were on their way south. Iris Tariq was commissioned on the 21st of November, 1992. Iris Nu followed on the 6th of June, 1993. Iris Yunus completed the trio on the 25th of November, 1996. Each had cost Iran approximately $600 million. The NATO designation for the class was the Black Hole, and the name was earned. On battery power, these submarines are among the quietest conventional submarines ever built. Detection ranges are genuinely difficult. The Soviet engineers had designed them well. Each kilo displaces 2,356 tons surfaced, 3,076 tons submerged. Length 72.6 meters. Maximum submerged speed 17 knots. Each carries 18 torpedoes, or a combination of torpedoes, anti-ship cruise missiles, and 24 naval mines, loaded through 6 533 mm tubes. Iran subsequently upgraded all 3 with domestically produced batteries and indigenous sensors, extending their operational lives under sanctions conditions that blocked access to Russian spare parts. There was a problem. The Persian Gulf is too shallow for a kilo. The class requires a minimum depth of 164 feet to operate safely, and less than a third of the Persian Gulf meets that threshold. The warm, high-salinity water also degraded their acoustic performance and accelerated hull fouling. Iran based them at Bandar Abbas and used them primarily in the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea, where depths allowed proper operations. But the shallow Gulf still needed to be covered. The kilos could not do it. That gap would drive the entire next chapter of Iranian submarine development. Chapter 4: The Swarm Doctrine. fast boats, Chinese iron, and the IRGC Navy. The tanker war had revealed something important. A small boat with a weapon and a motivated crew could threaten ships many times its size. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps had watched this closely. After the war, the IRGCN began building a force specifically designed to exploit the lesson. The first major foreign acquisition was Chinese. The IRGCN received 10 Hudong-class missile boats from China in the mid-1990s. Each displaced roughly 170 tons. They were originally armed with C-802 anti-ship missiles and became the largest surface combatants the IRGCN had ever operated. Over time, those missiles were replaced with Iranian-produced Gator anti-ship weapons, which carried a significantly longer range. Then came something smaller and faster. In 2002, Iran ordered approximately 10 C-14 catamaran missile boats from the Chinese manufacturer CSSC, with local production to follow. Each displaced 19 tons, measured 13.65 meters, and reached 55 knots on two 1,150 horsepower engines, 4 lightweight anti-ship missiles, aluminum catamaran hull, low radar cross-section. Designed by China specifically for the Middle East export market and shaped from the beginning with stealth in mind. From North Korea came the IPS-16 design, which Iran domesticated and expanded into the PACOP class. Each PACOP displaces 14 tons, measures 17.3 meters, and reaches 52 knots on two 2,400 horsepower diesels, 3 crewmen. It comes in 2 variants. The PACOP 2, locally branded Bavar or Belief, carries both anti-ship missiles and 324 mm torpedo tubes, making it the first Iranian fast attack craft capable of dual-mode engagement. The PACOP 3, the Zulfiqar, swaps the torpedo tubes for 2 Kausar or Nasser anti-ship missiles. North Korea also supplied the IPS-1 8-tier class torpedo boat, a 2 8-ton hull armed specifically with 2 533 mm torpedo tubes rather than missiles, giving the swarm a dedicated underwater strike option from a surface platform was a deliberate tactical choice. And then there was the Blade Runner. Iran purchased this British-built, record-breaking speedboat in the mid-2000s and studied it carefully. The result was the Siraj 1, an Iranian-built copy armed with a multiple rocket launcher system and a heavy anti-aircraft machine gun on the bow, reported top speed between 55 and 72 knots. Small enough to hide in a cove, fast enough to close on a frigate before it could respond effectively. None of these individual boats would survive a direct engagement with a modern destroyer. That was never the point. The doctrine is explicitly asymmetric. You send 200 boats at a carrier group, and you accept losses. The economics work in your favor if even a fraction of them get through. Losing a $2 million speedboat to damage a $12 billion aircraft carrier is a strategic transaction that benefits Iran. The IPS-18's torpedo tubes point underwater. That gap was being filled differently. Chapter 5. Building the Submarine Fleet from Midgets to the Conqueror. Iran's submarine program did not begin with the kilos. It began in the 1980s with a failed attempt to assemble a midget submarine at Bandar Abbas in 1987. The effort was unsuccessful by most accounts. A North Korean midget followed in 1988. By 1993, 9 more North Korean-designed vessels displacing 76 to 90 tons each had reportedly been imported. None of this was publicized. Iran was building underwater capability in the shadows. The Nahang, which means whale in Persian, was the first domestically produced midget submarine, approximately 25 meters long. Only one prototype was ever confirmed completed. First publicly revealed in April 2006, it carries no torpedo tubes. Its primary purpose is assessed as special operations transport, inserting and extracting combat swimmers in environments where no other platform could go undetected. North Korea's Yono-class design provided the template for something far more numerous. Iran reverse-engineered it, modified it, and put it into mass production. The result was the Ghadir class, first identified publicly in February 2004. Mass production announced in May 2005. The first unit appeared in exercises before formal commissioning in 2007. Each Ghadir displaces 117 tons surfaced, 125 tons submerged, 29 meters long, crew of 7. Armed with two 533 mm torpedo tubes compatible with the Valfager heavyweight torpedo, a weapon assessed to carry a 220 to 300 kilogram warhead with a range of 15 to 20 kilometers. The class can also deploy naval mines and, since February 2019, has demonstrated the ability to launch the JASC, 2 anti-ship cruise missile from underwater, a test that significantly expanded the threat it poses. The Ghadir was designed specifically for Persian Gulf conditions: high salinity, suspended sediment, thermal layers that shift rapidly, acoustic clutter that confuses sonar. The environments where the Kilo submarine struggled are exactly the environments where the Ghadir thrives. By the early 2020s, between 20 and 23 hulls were assessed as active, the single largest submarine class in Iranian service by a wide margin. Between the two 9-meter Ghadir and the 7.2-meter Kilo, there was a gap. Iran moved to fill it. Construction on the Feta class, the Conqueror class, began around 2008. Iris Feta was officially commissioned on the 17th of February 2019, with President Hassan Rouhani attending the ceremony. 48 meters long. Displacement of 527 tons surfaced, 593 tons submerged. Maximum submerged speed, 14 knots. Operational endurance, 35 days. Test depth, 250 meters. 4 533 mm torpedo tubes. An estimated 6 weapons combined, plus 8 naval mines. The sail contains a lockout chamber for Special Forces divers, a capability built into the design from the beginning. The Fateh is comparable in general dimensions to the German Type 206, a capable and respected Cold War-era coastal submarine. The design is assessed to have drawn on both Chinese and North Korean technical input. Iran planned at least 4 hulls, with a second under construction at the Caspian Sea Base at Bandar Anzali. For the first time, Iran had a domestically built attack submarine capable of genuine patrol missions at meaningful depths. And waiting behind it is something larger still. The Baysat class, whose name means prophetic mission, was announced by the Iranian Defense Ministry in August 2008. Construction is ongoing. Planned displacement approximately 4,000 tons, which would make it larger than the Russian Kilos, length around 70 meters. It is being developed with air-independent propulsion, a technology that eliminates the need to surface or snorkel for diesel recharging. Extended submerged endurance, measured in weeks rather than days. Armament, including torpedoes, surface-to-surface missiles, and surface-to-air missiles, making it the first Iranian submarine designed from the outset for multi-domain strike missions. If completed as specified, it closes the capability gap that has constrained Iranian submarine operations since the kilos arrived in the 1990s. Chapter 6. Building from the keel up Iran's indigenous fleet. The arms embargo was total. Iran could not buy Western warships, Western systems, or Western components. It could buy from Russia, from China, from North Korea, but it could also build. Slowly, expensively, and sometimes unsuccessfully, but it built. The Kaman class had been purchased from France. They had worked well. After the embargo, Iran decided to reproduce them domestically. The Marine Industries Organization developed the Sina class, an upgraded Iranian version of the same basic La Combattante II hull, engineered without French assistance. The first vessel, Iris Paykan, delivered in September 2003, was announced as the first domestically built warship in the history of the Islamic Republic. The name was deliberate. The original common class Paykan had been sunk in 1980. This was the resurrection. Each Sina displaces 275 tons, fully loaded, 47 meters long, powered by 4 diesels, generating 14,400 brake horsepower, top speed 36 knots. Armament standardized around 4C 802 Nor anti-ship missiles in box launchers, a 76mm Fajr, 2.7 dual-purpose gun forward, and a 40mm anti-aircraft cannon. All Iranian-produced or licensed manufactured. Iran planned up to 10 boats, deploying them across both the Persian Gulf and a Caspian Sea detachment based at Bandar Anzali. Replacing the Caymans was one thing. Building a frigate from nothing was another order of magnitude entirely. The Muj-class program started in 2001, 9 years of construction. Iris Jamaran, the lead ship, was commissioned in February 2010, 1,500 tons displacement. 95 meters long, 2 10,000 horsepower engines, top speed 30 knots, crew of 140. The class carried the domestically developed Aser 3D PESA long-range search radar, one of the first active electronically scanned array radars ever integrated into an Iranian warship, nor anti-ship missiles. Fajr, 2 776mm gun, common close-in weapon system, triple 324mm torpedo tubes for anti-submarine work. By 2021, the 6th hull, Iris Dena, had been commissioned. The Mauj class had not been without losses. Iris Damavand, the Caspian Sea variant, ran aground on a concrete breakwater at Bandar Anzali in January 2018 during a storm. Her hull broke apart near the waterline. The Iranian Navy initially declined to confirm the reports. The photographs told the story clearly enough. 7 planned hulls, 1 lost to a storm. But the program continued. The Alvin frigates were more than 50 years old. They needed successors. The Bayandor corvettes did too. After the 2013 refit that stripped their original anti-submarine configuration and replaced it with C-802 missiles and a new fire control system, they had been given a second life. But a 1960s American hull can only be sustained for so long. And the Alvin design itself had become the engineering foundation for the Muj. That transfer of knowledge, from British blueprint to Iranian construction yard, was the most concrete expression of what the sanctions had forced Iran to become: a self-sufficient, if constrained, naval industrial state. The hovercrafts needed replacing too. In 2019, Iran unveiled the Peruzan class, a domestically built hovercraft displacing 10 tons, achieving 40 knots maximum speed, made of aluminum and designed for the same shallow water patrol and rapid insertion missions the Shah's British-built SR. N6 fleet had performed since 1973. Chapter 7: The Catamaran Revolution and the Power Projection Shift. The IRGCN had always been the asymmetric force. Fast boats, swarm tactics, hit and run. But by the 2010s, something was shifting. The Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy wanted more. In 2016, it commissioned Iris Shahid Nazari, also designated Hearth 55, Iran's first twin-hulled warship, 55 meters long, catamaran design with a helicopter deck aft. Lightly armed with a 20mm cannon, it was not a combat powerhouse. It was a prototype, a proof of concept, a signal that the IRGCN was thinking about a different kind of fleet. What followed made the point more forcefully. On the 19th of February 2022, the IRGCN commissioned Iris Shahid Soleimani, named for the Quds Force commander assassinated in Baghdad in January 2020. 65 meters long, roughly 600 tons displacement, 4 diesel engines, top speed 32 knots. Low observable catamaran hull with composite construction, designed to reduce radar cross-section, range reportedly 5,000 nautical miles. But the armament was what made this vessel categorically different from anything the IRGCN had previously operated. It was the first Iranian warship ever equipped with a vertical launch system, 16 VLS cells firing Syad 2 and Syad 3 surface-to-air missiles, 6 anti-ship cruise missiles and external launchers, 4 long-range Ghadir missiles and 2 shorter-range Nasser 1 weapons, 6 surface-to-surface missiles, a 30mm autocannon, 6 20mm 3-barrel Gatling mounts, and beneath the helicopter deck, storage for 3 fast attack boats that could be launched from the stern. The Shahid Soleimani was simultaneously a warship, a missile platform, and a mothership for the swarm. 3 more followed rapidly. Shahid Bagheri and Shahid Syed Shirazi were commissioned on the 19th of February 2024. Shahid Rais Ali Delvari entered service on the 27th of February 2025. 4 hulls in 3 years. The third generation of the catamaran program was unveiled on the 6th of January 2024. The Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis class, named for the Iraqi militia commander killed alongside Soleimani. Larger than the Soleimani class, more heavily armed, deeper stealth shaping. The third iteration of the IRGCN's high aspect ratio twin hull, or Hearth program, and by far the most capable. And while the IRGCN was building catamarans, the IRIN was solving a different problem. How do you project naval power across the Indian Ocean when every ship in your fleet was designed for the Persian Gulf? You convert an oil tanker. Iris Makran had been a Japanese-built crude oil tanker, completed in March 2010 as a commercial vessel, operating under the name Al-Buhaira. Iran identified it, acquired it, and converted it at the Isoiko shipyard in Bandar Abbas. On the 13th of January 2021, it was commissioned into the IRIN as a forward-based ship, 229.6 meters long, full load displacement of 121,000 metric tons. The largest warship the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy had ever operated, by a margin that made the Mauj frigates look like patrol boats. Endurance of up to 1,000 days at sea. Helicopter deck carrying 6 to 7 rotary wing aircraft. Designed to support IRIN operations in the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, the approaches to Bab el-Mandeb, a second vessel, Iris Kurdistan, began simultaneous conversion. The intent was clear: maintain at least 2 ships capable of sustaining a deployed task force far from any Iranian port. From a Piper Cub dropping improvised bombs, from 14 British hovercrafts that were the world's largest such fleet, from the Cold War destroyer of a Shah who never imagined the revolution that would come, to black hole submarines in the Gulf of Oman, to 20 midget submarines stalking shipping lanes in 50-meter water, to catamaran corvettes with vertical launch systems and drone launch platforms, to a converted oil tanker capable of keeping a naval task force at sea for 1,000 days. The fleet was not built in spite of the embargo. Parts of it were built because of it. Sanctions forced Iran to manufacture what it could not purchase. The reverse-engineered Kaman became the Sina. The Alvand blueprint became the Mauj. The North Korean Yono template became 23 Gadir midget submarines. Every denial created a design requirement. Every embargo became an engineering problem to be solved domestically. The Basat submarine is still under construction. Its air-independent propulsion system, its planned 4,000-ton displacement, its multi-domain missile armament, these represent a capability that no Iranian submarine has ever possessed. When it enters service, the strategic geometry of the Persian Gulf and everything beyond it will shift again. It is not finished. The arsenal is not complete. It has never been complete. That is the point.